How y'all doing this evening? This is Mr. Hamilton. I'm going to do a quick review on some constitutional principles, and we're going to also look at some qualifications and requirements of our federal offices. Here we go. Here's some noise. I got some young ladies in the background finishing up an activity, but they're going to try and keep it down. Here we go. All right, so 7 principles of the Constitution. You don't have to create a foldable with the terms and definitions, but I just need you to take a look at how does the Constitution work. So popular sovereignty is the belief that the people can and should govern themselves. We know that throughout our country, people can run for office, they can campaign, they can do pretty much anything. They have all these individual freedoms that allow them to make these decisions to have a place in government. Republicanism. People vote for people to represent their views in government, right? We elect people that share our common interests, that are going to protect our interests once they get that power. And once again, that's just simply putting someone in office that has similar beliefs that you have. Federalism, one of the most important constitutional principles, deals with the separation and division of power between
Ms. Miller, if you're still on campus, call the office.
Thank you. Between state and federal governments. Is simply identifying the specific powers that they share and that they each have in their own right. And the 2 different powers, the powers for the national government, as you can see on the screen here, are delegated powers. In the Constitution, they'll be delegated because they're identified as specific things that they do, and the powers for the state are reserved powers. Powers that may not be specifically identified in the Constitution, but are reserved for the states, even though they're not listed specifically. And the shared powers are considered concurrent powers. This is just another fancy way to say shared. Concurrent powers that they both share. All right, this is a Venn diagram of the split up powers between the national and state government and the shared powers. You can take a look at that closely on your own. All right. Explain how federalism affects the powers of the United States government. Cite evidence. We had this question in class, and a lot of people were confused. And simply put, according to the text or the Venn diagram, or based on what you already know, federalism directly affects the powers of the United States by dividing them amongst the state and federal governments, and also identifying the shared powers as well. That should be your answer to that question. Separation of powers is simply, and this is probably one of the most important principles because when it comes to the 3 branches of government, because it identifies the overall jobs of each branch of government. We have executive, judicial, and legislative, but this identifies the specific jobs that they each are in control of. Now, legislative this main job is making laws, executive branch enforcing those laws, and judicial branch interprets those laws and make sure that they're in line with the Constitution. All right, explain how the principle of separation of powers affects the 3 branches of government. Cite evidence. Based on what I already know, the principles of separation of powers affects the 3 branches of government by dividing the government or identifying the jobs of the government. Let me pause right quick. I need to check an answer from one of my students. They're working hard in here, so I don't want to waste their time. We can get right back to the video. Y'all take you a brief little break. Washington is over there. Unprovoked killing over there with the Indians, so. Well, it looks like you have half of it right. But this is what I do. We'll reconvene tomorrow on 2nd block. Y'all come to the study review, and I'll let y'all get awarded y'all prize then.
Okay.
All right, I have one more shot at it. All right, you're welcome. Yeah, come see me in the morning. I'll give you a pass, and they'll let you come back.
Okay, I'll stick this behind the desk so no one.
All right. So simply put, the jobs of the government. All right. Let's move on. Checks and balances. Checks and balances is simply the division of power amongst the 3 branches so that one branch doesn't become more powerful than the next. Let me enlarge this for you guys. I'm about to end this video. so that they don't become too powerful between than the next, and they can share that power equally. A check is one branch having more power, or having I guess you could say, power over each other, and that in turn creates a balance. For example, the federal judges are nominated by the president, but they have to be approved by Congress. They each have power over each other in many different instances. Like, bills must be passed by both houses of the legislative branch, but they must be signed by the president and can even be challenged in the courts by the judicial branch. Limited government simply means if a representative commits a crime, he or she would be faced with trial just like everyone else. Everyone has to follow the same rules, and government officials are not above them. Individual rights, those are the personal liberties, the unalienable rights as it states in the Constitution that can't be taken away, that people born here are given by our Constitution. And they're first identified in the Bill of Rights, which are the first 10 amendments of our U.S. Constitution that specifically ensure the rights of those people, like freedom of speech, right to bear arms, right to a speedy trial. All right, that ends that slideshow. I got another review video coming right at you right after this. This one deals with the constitutional principles specifically. Dive into it, review, play it over and over and over, man. Get it ingrained in your head, and I guarantee you'll be okay on this retake quiz for everybody. We're grinding it out. We got to step our game up all the way around. These principles, we got to get them ingrained, because civics itself, we won't be successful until we have this, like, knowing it like the back of our hand. All right, so leave comments, like, share, subscribe. Come to class with tomorrow prepared or wanting to know even more information. Give me ideas for even more videos. Y'all have a good one. Peace.